Hello everybody, this is Pam, Flower Patch Farmhouse again, and I have started a new thing, I guess, and that is painting on glass. I've had the enamels and the brushes for quite some time, but I just have not really gotten into it, and recently I did and have fallen in love all over again with painting. So this is a wine bottle I did, and I painted roses on it. And here are the two glasses that I painted to match. And I have two more, and I'm going to show you in this video how I painted them. So I'm going to get my palette ready and my brushes, and I'll be right back. So stay tuned. Now to get started, I'll show you my glasses. I don't know if you can see on here, but it had some engraving, 2 G's. It's my husband's last name, Gropey, and they had a company years and years ago called Gropey Glass. And they had these as a promotional thing, and I had a box of them, and it comes with a carafe, which I'm going to paint as well. There's the carafe. And I'll make it a big set. But I start out with, first, they're clean, and then I've rubbed them all over with rubbing alcohol to make sure there's no alcohol on them. And then for these, I started with a scruffy brush, and it's called Italian Sage. It's a folk art enamel color. And then I just pounced in some background. It doesn't have to be opaquely pounced, and I just kind of made it like a ferny type background. And then I also did the back. Not back, well, I guess, unless it doesn't have the G's, it's not necessarily, it's just one side and the other side. Now this will take probably a good 4 to 5 minutes to dry, and you have to let each layer of color in the enamels dry on glass or ceramics or glossy surfaces like that. You can't just go over it like you would in regular stroke painting, because it just lifts off. So that's the only part about this that's really different than regular decorative painting, is actually letting each layer dry between coats. So there I have the background. I hope that's been in focus for you. And I will let it dry. And in the meantime, like if you have 4 glasses going at once, it helps, because by the time you get done doing 4 pieces, then the first one has dried and you start on the next layer of color right after that. So here's the carafe that I'm doing. And I'm sorry if the lighting today is a bit dim. It is a very rainy day. We're supposed to get snow later on. So the snow is actually brighter, so I get more light in my studio when it's snowing. I am working on my husband to put in a skylight, and we'll see, that should help in my lighting issues in my studio. Okay, there I have the other side of the carafe, all pounced in with the Italian Sage. So I will load up my colors for my next layer, and then I'll come back and show you that. Okay, so I have my palette ready here. For the roses, I had used burgundy wine and baby pink. Also the enamels. Everything I'm using on glass right now in this video is the folk art enamels and their colors. So then I have my 8. This is a plaid 1-stroke glass ceramics brush, and you notice it's different. It's white, and that these soft bristles work better on glass than your average brush, or so I'm told. I have not even tried my other brushes, so I went right for what was recommended, and they work for me, so I'm going with it. So there, I've double loaded my brush with the pink and the burgundy wine, and I'm going to look at my glass and look at my inspiration pieces and kind of go with it. Now remember, I'm not going to do like I do on my regular rose on a board or paper. I have to do it in stages and let each stage dry. So first I'm going to do the very back of the bowl, which I'm going to do my stroked U, upside down U. Let's see if you can see what I'm doing here. Now I'll leave that to dry, and I will do the other side. Do the same thing, do my U. It doesn't have to face the same way. I can face it a little bit different. And as I have said in all of my videos, every flower will turn out differently, even though you try to do them the same. That's the nature of hand painting. So I've done those two. I'm going to let them dry, and while they're drying, I am going to go in and do maybe some buds. That's the top of the bud. I think I need to redo that so there's more of the burgundy showing. I don't want to get them too big. I'm going to keep reloading my brush, same double loading process. And I'm doing this standing up. I'm further away from this than I would normally be. So it's making it be a little more awkward, but I'm trying to keep it in the camera for you. And hopefully it's focused. Okay, so there's that one. So I set it aside and let it dry, and I start on this one. And I'll do the same thing. So I'll do the back of the bowl. And you can make it a little more ruffly if you want to, like do a scallopy stroke rather than just a straight stroke. And then this is kind of a comma stroke, roughly comma stroke. And if you don't think there's enough burgundy in it, you can wait until the next, you're going to go over this again because these are very transparent and they need a second coat before you go on to the next layer. But you have to let the top coat dry. So let's go in and do a couple buds. My eyes are, can't see this little screen very well, so I'm sorry. Okay. And we'll do two little buds facing down. And again, that's just the top of the bud. And that bud might get overtaken by that rose, so I might need to do one further out. And there's no mistakes, you can just go over things. And even on one, I made a big, huge mistake, and I just washed it off with alcohol. And it came right off. It took a little bit of elbow grease, but it did come off. Okay, so there is that layer. Now, while that is drying, I can come in with a couple shades of green. I'm going to cover my paint so that it stays moist while I get another palette out, and I'm going to put a couple shades of green. I'm going to use the Italian Sage. You can see I use my plates over and over again. This is dried paint, and I just put it on top of it. Reuse, recycle, and thicket for my two greens. And what I'm going to do is come in and paint the leaves. And I got to dry my brush out. I had rinsed it, and you got to have it really, really dry because the enamels and water just don't work well. So I dried it out as much as I could with a soft cloth. And I'm double loading the two greens. Get it good and full. You want a lot of paint in your brush. Put that over here. This is the first one. I just kind of decide where I want some leaves. And I'm just going to kind of drag out a little stem. You don't have to do that. You can actually put the stem in later. And I just make some little stroke leaves. Those will also need to be gone over with a second coat once it dries. lead with the lighter. I keep going back to my palette and getting more paint. Less is more, so I'm trying to balance it out. Look at what I did before. And I can do one more. I think it's a little gloppy on my brush, so I'll just... Well, there's that side. I probably should have stuck with just two on that side, but like I said, I can come back in later with alcohol and a little rag and just wipe it away. And that's going to go up over that bud. Oops, I actually got some pink in it, but that doesn't matter because it all works well together. Complementary colors and all that. All right, there's that one. We can always put more in if we want. And here's this one. Make it a little bit longer, put 5 leaves on this one. Wish that one may be covered by the rose, but that's okay. It just sets it to the back. Sets the leaves to the back, not the rose. And here we go. Now on mine, I also had some little white, let me see, did I get both sides? No, I didn't. Little white flowers to give it a little fill, a little lightness. And I can come in and do those later at the end. And I had some little lavender, almost in the shape of wisteria, which will also do a little bit of fill. You'll notice I'm avoiding the rim where people's mouth will go. Now these are non-toxic and they are baked on once you're done. Let me see if you can see that. But it's just always good, or I've read it's good to keep it away, not to have your mouth on the paint. And these, I haven't tested it yet, are supposedly dishwasher safe once they've been cured or baked on. I will test that theory in the future, and I'll test it probably. These were some of my practice pieces. If you notice, this is a jar. This was just a salad dressing jar, and it was smooth, and I'm practicing pansies. I haven't got them down yet, but I am practicing. And on this one, I had frosted the glass first. You see it's frosted, and I did kind of a hydrangea type pattern, I guess you would call it, on it. And I think these would be really cute with tea lights in them and lit up at night as candles. And here's one that I had fun with. This is a snowman, and I painted all the way around it some fir trees with snow and happy snowman. I really had fun with that one. And those are my practice pieces. So here's another one. This is the one actually that I had started to clean off with the alcohol, and you see it pretty much came all off. What's still on there I can just paint over and it won't be visible. Okay, I'm going to take my blow dryer, which will speed up the drying of the glasses I just did, and then I'll come back and do the next layer. Now on to the next. I'm not even doing the next layer, I'm just doing the next, well, I guess you would say layer. I'm doing the first one, but I'm going over it again. That makes it more opaque, and I'm not exact, but there you see how I've gone over it. I'll do this other, I'll do the little buds. And here I will do this side. Bud, the back of the bowl. Got a little bit of burgundy up there, but it's all good. Nothing's perfect in my painting world anyways. Okay, there's that one. Now I'll do the same on the next one. Make sure I have it loaded correctly. Sometimes I only need more of a one color, and I will just load that color on if I notice my brush maybe has more burgundy than pink, and so I'll go back and just load pink if I need. That's all I need. I don't always double load both, and you just kind of play it by ear of what you need, or play it by eye. You'll see on your brush. And there I've done the second layer. And I can come back in with the green to do the second layer on the leaves. And I need to load my palette again. Be right back. So here I'm going back over the green leaves. I need to set it down to steady it. I reload my brush, plane it. I'm just doing my simple slide stroke leaves, or whatever you want to call them. Pretty much on that one. Go to the next and do the same thing. And you're just building layer upon layer for the flowers and for the leaves. And I can come in like on this one and do with a liner brush so I don't get the big fat stroke. This brush isn't holding a chisel edge as well. So I think a liner would work better. And providing a thin, see how thick I kind of got that stem. It's not a big deal, but if you're detail oriented, it could be. And there you have the second layer on the leaves. Sorry about that. I recorded a whole episode or part and I didn't have it on record. I don't know what was wrong. Hopefully my card isn't full. We'll see what it does this time. Okay, what I was showing you is while that back part was drying, I came in and did the arms of the rose. See, I painted the scallop strokes. Here, I'll show it on this one because I have this one left to do. I'd done the other glass and everything. This was the second glass doing that. Okay, there's the arms painted on. And I got a little bit gloppy there with the pink, but that's okay. It will all blend in. And I do the lower petals. See if you can see this. I do where I kind of guesstimate where they would be. Normally, whoops, I'm getting paint on my table, meaning I'm getting it off the glass. Normally I would have done this, the center part, the outer, lower, then gone down and done part of the lower. You can go to my website, www.flowerpatchfarmhouse.com. I have 2 other tutorials on roses and doing them on a flat surface. And that might be easier for you to learn before trying to do them on glass. But you're welcome to try on glass first. I'm sure regular glass painters think glass is just as easy. I'm just, quite frankly, learning to paint on glass. And it's different nuances. And I was asked for these tutorials by others on how I did the roses. So there is the arms and the lower petals, the first round. I will go back over them to make them opaque once that back has dried. And I will come back and do that. So we've covered doing the 2 coats for the very back of the bowl. I did 1 coat on the arms and the lower petals. Now I'm going to come back in and do the next layer of the bowl. And I do just a narrower upside down U strokes there to fill it in. I'm just going to do 2 layers for that, so I'm going to make this, fill it in with the burgundy wine, and that will dry, and then I'll come and do a second coat on that. And I will do my second coat also on the arms. Now normally I am stabilizing this. I'm stabilizing this against my stomach, so having it away from my body like this is a little more challenging. If I haven't said that already, probably did, but I'm trying to keep it in the camera for you and still make the strokes look decent. Okay, that's one side. And I will go over this little bud here. Now it's ended up that it's too close to the rose, and I should have planned that better, but it just shows you how you can go wrong. Let me see if I can show you how I erase it with alcohol. I'm wondering if it's worth to try it there or not. Well, maybe I'll come back and do that after I've gone over this. Now this one I never did do the second coat for the back of the bowl, so I will go ahead and do that. I have another glass I'm working on, so I can do that one, set this on the side, and that part can dry. Hopefully the video is staying clear, because I'm not used to videoing and moving the object. It's usually sitting flat, and it's only my brush and hand that is moving. Okay, again I got the buds too close. I was doing it on the fly rather than having a set pattern, which I'd already doubled it in that one. So these two, see, they're far enough away. Oh, it looks like they've already been doubled up on. See, I did the lower part of the bud there. Okay, that's been done, that's done. I guess that's already did part. Doesn't matter if it pulls it up. So there's the lower part of that bud. That one I'm still debating on whether I'm going to wash it off. So there's the second coat on the arms and lower petals, and for that one the back stroke, and there on this part I did the second layer of the bowl. This one I will come back in, reload my brush, and if your brush starts to feel too gloppy, rinse it out and start again. Just make sure you dry all the water out before reloading. Okay, so here I'm doing the second layer of the bowl, or I should say the inner layer of the bowl, and one arm, two arms, the lower petals. Like I said, this is rough because I'm not able to stabilize it against my body like I normally would. So they're not quite as precise as I could normally make them. Again, this bud is way too close, but we'll go with it. Make it tight there so that it's just above that arm petal. Okay. These buds I will go ahead and add that lower level, and that one doesn't show the burgundy, so there's no dimension there, so I'll just add a touch in. All of your faux pas kind of blend in when you have a whole bouquet going on, so probably only you would notice them. And there I have the second layer on these. And this rosebud. And there is that one. And I see my battery's getting low, so I will switch out my batteries and come back, and I will show you how I tapped on the white for the frilly, I guess you would say it's kind of like baby's breath in a bouquet. And I had some lavender wisteria type, and I will show you how I did those while those layers dry. Be right back. Now we're going to finish up the bowl of the rose. So I'm going to steady it here on the table. I'm going to come and do the U stroke. You can see it needs to be gone over again, so we'll let that dry. Go to the next side, and this one doesn't have the first layer of the inner bowl, so we'll do that right now and then set it aside while we do the inner bowl of one of the other ones. So there's the inner bowl. Set it aside, and here's where the inner bowl has not also been painted, so we'll do the inner bowl on this one. This one, the first layer has been done, so we will do the second layer on the inner bowl. And then next we'll come in and do that once this dries. Let me see if there's anything I'm missing on here. Nope, we've done the second layer on everything else. I will kind of fill in the inner bowl center. And there you have that part. Now for the next one, I went over with the second layer for the lower end of the inner part of the bowl, and then I will come and I'm catching, you see the outer side of the bowl, that upside down U, I'm catching the edges, coming down, swiping down at an angle. You can see this better on my rose painting tutorials that I do, and then I do the same there. That will need a second coat, so we'll go along here. This one, the inner bowl, this part was just painted, so that needs to dry more. This one, the second coat needs to go on. Let me see if it dried enough of the U stroke. Yeah, it's dried enough, so it's going on there fine. And this one also needs a second coat on it to make it more opaque. And we'll wait and do the next part. I wanted to show how each rose is a little different. You notice the second layer of the bowl on this one, I just came all the way across. And then on this one, I had come down and ended halfway across, or 2/3 of the way across, and then started from this side and came down, so it makes it look like two petals overlapping. And so that is a little different effect than just another U stroke. So just a little heads up. Here's another variation. You noticed on the inner bowl, I did an extra upside down U, so it gives it even more of a tinier bud in the center than, say, one of these that is more open. So that is another variation of your rose. That way you don't have roses that all look the same. And just like roses in nature, each one is different, and you can practice doing different things, adding different strokes in there that may enhance or change it up a little bit. Now we're going to do the inner arms. You know how we did the outer arms of the armchair, and now we're going to go here right next to the inner bowl and do another scallop stroke on top of those outer arms, so it makes another layer of petals. And then we have to let those dry. We'll do that again on this side. There's the bowl, inner bowl, and we're going to come along, and it doesn't matter if you kind of go over the bowl. Like I said, the roses are all different. We will have to come back and redo those for opacity's sake. Let's see if this one's dry enough. I think this one's dry enough. You notice how we did that inner bowl. Now we're going to do the inner arms. Hopefully I didn't just get that out of the camera for you. This one's really an odd shaped rose, but it'll work. And it'll be no problem. And we can do like another layer here. And then I'll show you how we come and fill in right there in the center. And it looks like we will have to go over these outer ones again for some opacity, but if not, you can just add some little chisel strokes for some added, yeah, that one's dry enough. I can do the inner arm stroke on these. So you notice I'm doing that scalloped C. And you can start it higher if you want, and you pull it into the center. And I will show you the last stroke, well, not the last stroke, but a really finishing stroke for me on my roses in just a minute. Now for larger roses, I would have done another set of arms down here, and these wouldn't have been so close. And you can see that in my other rose tutorials on my website and on my YouTube channel. But for this one, we're going to keep it smaller to fit on the glass. Now here you've got the outer arm, the inner arm, and then I'm going to do with a tricky stroke, that's what I call a tricky stroke, is I start underneath this arm and I drag, flip my brush, and come up under the other arm. And that kind of makes the front. This is a little awkward for me to do this while holding it down, but you get the idea. And I do show you in my other rose videos. And then you can come in and decide, okay, I need a few more chisel strokes to mimic maybe some more petals. Let's see, I can try it on this side. Sorry if that hurt your eyeballs. Let me make sure I'm focusing for you. Now this one is a little bit different. I had that big U stroke there, and I'm deciding if I want to do this stroke or for another stroke. I'll go ahead and do this tricky stroke. I'll go underneath the arm, drag on the chisel edge, twist my brush up, and then get back to the chisel edge and make that stroke there in front of the bowl. And later you can come in and do little chisel strokes underneath there if you feel the need. And I kind of went over that, so I need to wait till it dries, but that is kind of finishing up the bowl. There. And you can decide, like I said, each rose is different. And let me see. And if you notice, this rose is kind of lopsided, so I may come in and put another bottom petal on there and balance it out. Or if I don't like that, I can always put filler flowers in on that spot. Okay, that's that one. That's pretty much done. And we'll do the same on this one. Now you don't always have to do this particular stroke. Like I said, you can fill in with other strokes. Like maybe I want to just do some chisel strokes and finish this rose up. You can do that too. And call it done. I haven't tried. Let me see, this one definitely needs that finishing stroke in my mind. And you see I did the second layer of arms underneath there, and I'll go between the arms, flip up, and then go between the arms again. And if you need to, add a few more chisel strokes. And basically that rose is done as well. Like I said, each rose is different. Let me put my brush down so I can show you side by side. Look how different those two roses are. And we just painted both of them at the same time. It's how it's supposed to be. Every one of them is unique. Let me see about this side. Yeah, that one is the other one with the chisel strokes. And that basically is the rose on glass.